This is a nothing. Yes, did they play perfect? No, they still win. Yes.
What are you doing if the Celtics win the championship?
If the Celtics win championship, I might break my sobriety. I might act up.
We did it! You got him.
All the way.
Celtics versus Heat. Celtics in what?
4.
Celtics versus Knicks. Celtics in
4.
You got Celtics in 4?
Celtics in
Hell yeah.
Use a vocab word from a couple years ago. It's mind-boggling.
That's it, DRG. Let's go. What do you think tonight?
You think I'm worried about the Warriors? I ain't worried about the
Let's
Warriors.
go, baby. 18, baby. Load up the boat.
Why would you say that?
Because
I'm not- no, and-
recently he's
and
putting
hold
up
on,
games like
Above our head for the players.
literally right now.
But I think when Marcus, especially Marcus, when he got traded, I think that was a wake-up call.
You think right now
Rob,
it's still New York?
I do.
And when I think of the Celtics dynasty, honestly, one of the first names that comes to my mind is actually Brad Stevens.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to Celtics Talk Weekly Postgame Live. I am your host, Seamus Zarlingo, and tonight, the Boston Celtics defeated the Charlotte Hornets on the Garden floor 130-94. The Celtics close out Game 81 of the regular season with an absolute trouncing of the Charlotte Hornets. For the team's 60th win tonight, the Celtics finally reached 60 wins on the season. Beginning of the night seemed a little dicey there for a second. Were the Celtics going to get over that 60 win mark or not? They had 2 chances in their last 2 games against the Hornets. However, looking at the lead tracker here for this game tonight, you can see the Charlotte Hornets, they were kind of hanging in the game there, not controlling the game early on with a lead as big as 7 in that first half. However, the sea of green came out for the Boston Celtics in that second half. The Celtics going up by as many as 37 points there in the fourth quarter and making this a no contest type of game. It seemed like the Hornets were competitive there in the first half. However, in the second half, it completely fell apart for Charlotte, and Boston ran away with this one. It was fueled by multiple players on the Boston Celtics really hitting the 3 ball tonight. The Celtics, they make 23 threes on tonight's occasion, and they couldn't miss in the second half. You see it there. And it was mostly the bench who came in and just lit it up. It was Peyton Pritchard. It was Sam Hauser. Both guys had over 20 points tonight. No Jaylen Brown in this game. We'll get to that later. Jason Tatum didn't shoot particularly well, 6 of 17 on the night. But looking at the rest of the Celtics and what they were able to do in this game, you can see a lot of players off the bench played well. You have Luke Cornett, 3 of 5 on the night, 8 points. Torrey Craig came in, had himself a little bit of a moment there. Neemias Queta, 3 of 3. Baylor Shireman, 2 of 3. Those guys didn't even play that much, and I believe they only played really in the fourth quarter there. But you see on this lead tracker, the point is that bench in the second half made all the difference in the world when Kristaps started. He started 1 of 10, finished 2 of 11, and I mentioned Tatum, 6 of 17. So they're 2 of your best players right there for the Boston Celtics. Not shooting particularly well to start this game, and yet the bench comes out, and in that second half, you see from the lead tracker, they just blow it all away. And I do want to mention, too, Derek White, 8 of 12 on the night, Al Horford, 5 of 10, and Drew Holiday is 1 of 6. So Drew Holiday, part of the bad shooting club. Now, Al Horford and Derek White, they had good shooting nights. Derek White, he was in the runner for player spotlight, of course. Seemed like he had the inside track for player spotlight early on in the night, but Peyton Pritchard, again, with that bench mob, that's the story of the night. They came into the game and made all the difference in the second half, and the Hornets just, felt like the Hornets at a certain point in time. They weren't trying to win this game, and that's really where the Hornets are at this point in the year. Again, this is another mutual game. We've talked about it on a lot of post games. This stretch, the last really 20 games for the Celtics after that 7-game homestand, a lot of the teams the Celtics faced afterwards, a lot of tanking teams, a lot of lottery teams. Tonight was no different. The Charlotte Hornets, they have 19 wins on the season, 62 losses after this game, and it's a mutual game from the standpoint of the Charlotte Hornets. They're in capture the flag mode. And the Celtics, they're in, well, let's capture that 60 win mark mode. And that's what the Celtics did tonight. And mentioning the Celtics 60 wins, that is the 15th time in Celtics franchise history a Celtics team has reached the 60 win mark. And 7 of the previous 14 teams who reached the 60 win mark went on to win the title. And that included last year's title winning team in 2024. So this 2025 team has not yet been on that pursuit in the playoffs. However, they will be after the next game against the Charlotte Hornets. But I do want to mention this as well. Most in NBA history, and Dick Light threw out this stat at the end of the game. Game 81, game 82. It's time for experimentation. All right, for both the team and the broadcasters out there tonight. Dick Light on the program for NBC Sports Boston, calling the game alongside Drew and Scal. Now, Drew and Scal were, of course, doing their normal jobs, but Dick Lipe, he was jumping in here and there, giving stats, and I thought it was a great add-on to the broadcast because I never really hear from Dick Lipe outside of either Scal or Drew Carter reading one of his stats, but he was on the broadcast tonight, did tremendously, and he brought out this stat at the end of the game. Most in NBA history. So the Celtics, their fifth, this is the 15th time, as I already mentioned, in franchise history, the Celtics reached the 60 win mark in a season. That is the most in NBA history out of all the franchises. First ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers, who have seen 11 seasons of 60 wins or more. After the Lakers, we have the Spurs with 7. And I want to say 60 win seasons before I go on this list. I mean, we see the top 3, 15 with the Celtics, 11 with the Lakers, 7 with the Spurs. You're already hearing those numbers. And 60 win seasons, you realize, wow, the NBA, it's been around for what? 70, what, we're year 78 right now. I believe we're in year 78. 21, 22 is 75. In year 78, the Lakers, they've only won 60 games 11 times. A storied franchise like the Lakers, only 11 times. The Celtics, 15. Those are, I don't want to say low numbers, but it's not, it doesn't happen too often. That's really what I'm trying to say here. And the rest of the list, I mean, it just starts going down and down. The Spurs, only 7. They're third. And you see the most storied franchises, the most winning franchises at the top. Boston, LA, San Antonio. And then you have Chicago with 6. And then you have Oklahoma City and Seattle. So the Seattle Supersonics and the Oklahoma City Thunder mixed 5. The Milwaukee Bucks 5. The Sixers 4. Phoenix 4. The Golden State Warriors 3. The Cavs 3. The Mavericks 3. And the Utah Jazz 3. And then after that, everybody else has either 2 or 1 or none. And I believe only 22 franchises in the NBA have only 22 franchises in NBA history have won 60 games in a season, at least 60 games, at least once. So the Celtics, this season, we think about, January and the teams going back and forth, playing 500 ball, playing the way they did. And yet this team still gets to 60 wins. And you look at this list of 60 win teams, there aren't that many of them in NBA history. I mean, from season to season, you'll probably see 1, 2, 3. This year we'll see 3. And you realize Celtics, this is the 15th time in franchise history out of 78 seasons. 78 seasons. The Lakers, only 11. The Spurs, 7. The Bulls, 6. That's not that many seasons. I mean, think, a lot of these teams, only 22 franchises have been able to win 60 games in a season. Only 22. And the Celtics, they do it this season. They win 60 games. They're one of 3 teams at the top of the league who win 60 games. They do it for the 15th time in franchise history, extending their NBA record over the Lakers, which is always nice to hear. But that's incredible considering where the Celtics were earlier this season, reaching the 60 win mark. The Celtics were playing 500 ball during a 25 game sample size between December and January and a little bit of February. 14 and 11. 14 and 11. They still get to 60 wins on the season. And it shows how dominant this team has been, both when they started the season, before that little stretch where I want to say it was a little bit more than little. It was almost a third of the season where they were 500. And then at the end of the season, the Celtics have been just utterly dominant once again. But I will say, during the beginning of this game, the Celtics, I was thinking about the 60 win mark, and I was thinking, okay, 61 seems reasonable. The Hornets don't want to win either one of these games tonight, and the Celtics. Why? I mean, they don't really have incentive to win these games. We're going to see the starters play today. They'll probably sit out Sunday. If not, they'll come in, maybe play 15, 20 minutes. We'll have to see. But these two games are very winnable for the Celtics, especially tonight's game, the game before game 82. And I'm thinking they have to get to the 60 win mark. But the other night, me and Rob and I, we talked about, was this the easiest route to 60 wins, or was the most, it was we termed it as a cakewalk, but it was more of, can you believe a team in the middle of the season, December, January, February, was as bad as they were when the Celtics were 14 and 11, right? Only 3 games over 500 in a 25 game sample size. During that stretch, has there ever been a team who's had a stretch like that and still won 60 games? Because a lot of the 60 win marks we've seen on this list in time, they've won it quite easily. And even though it might be 62, 63, 64, 64 for the Celtics last year, it felt easier for these franchises in terms of domination. They dominated the whole season. And for this Celtics team, they didn't exactly do that. And yet they still win 60 games on the year. And we were talking about that the other night. And coming into tonight, like, oh, still have 59 wins. It's like, we could jinx ourselves right here. We could jinx ourselves. We still have 59 wins. I want to say, 10 games ago, Griffin, Franco, and I, we were on this program. And I was saying 59 seems fitting for the squad, considering the season we've had. We kind of, at certain moments we've gone all the way, like the beginning of the year, Celtics dominated, the middle portion of the year, kind of sit back on the recliner. Then at the end of the year, the Celtics go and run ahead. And we've seen in individual games, sometimes the Celtics, they give us really what we want during a certain portion of the game, but then other parts, like, they haven't put it together. That hasn't been the case the past month and a half, I'll say, but it was a theme of the season earlier in the season. And I said, well, 59 wins seems reasonable because we see the Celtics 59 wins, still amazing, but just couldn't quite get to 60. Kind of a theme of this team. Well, now, first off, they're at 60 wins tonight, as you see on the bottom of the screen, 60 and 21. But going into this game, you look at that lead tracker, it was not guaranteed. I'm thinking, ooh, this is the starters game. This is the game the Celtics are sort of trying to win, right? We saw the whole bench in the fourth quarter, but for the first 3 quarters, and Porzingis, he missed the second half. But that first half, everybody was healthy outside of Jaylen Brown. That third quarter, everybody but Jaylen Brown and Porzingis, they were active and in the rotation. And this felt like a game, okay, the Celtics are going to try to win in terms of the 2 Hornets games, game 81, game 82. Because game 82, I could see you could either rest all of the starters like we saw in Orlando, saw how much of a disaster that was, or the starters will come in, play 15, 20 minutes, and then sit out, and we'll see guys like J.D. Davison, Drew Peterson, Baylor Shireman. They'll take the reins, they'll take over, and the main Celtics will be out there. We got to get Griffin on that Sunday broadcast. I'll say game 82 Sunday broadcast. Griffin's got to come on here because that'll be the main Celtics game. Just saying that right now. But that's the point, is tonight, this could have been a game where the Celtics, early on, it looked like, the Hornets, they're a little frisky. They have the lead. They have the control of this game. They're playing really hard. It's like, the Celtics, they can't get a couple buckets going. Jason Tatum's not playing well. Kristaps Porzingis isn't playing well. And I was thinking midway through the game, of course, at halftime, the Celtics, they kind of steadied the ship a little bit there. But before that point, I'm going, I don't know. Did we jinx ourselves? If we lose tonight, it's like Sunday, we're going to be playing nobody. And we saw the result of that in Orlando. But of course, we don't. Celtics don't. We didn't jinx the Celtics is what I'm saying here. But the Celtics came through for us, as they typically do. They win 60 games, and they'll be looking to win 61 games on Sunday in what will be a meaningless game because, of course, the Celtics are locked in to that 2 slot, and they hit 60 wins, best for 15th all time in franchise history. Now, I do want to say a couple more things about this game because at the end of the year, we always have occasions that they pop out on screen, right? Taj Gibson checks into the game. You're going, whoa, Taj Gibson. I mean, he's played 17 minutes the other night for the Hornets. But this late in the year, it's the Hornets, give Taj Gibson some minutes. Roll him out there, right? And I don't understand, quite frankly, how the Charlotte Hornets can roll out the rotation they did in this game. And I don't understand how the NBA can't find something like this because looking at the injury report tonight, what is this? What is this? Tell me what this is, NBA and Charlotte Hornets. Okay, so first of all, the Boston Celtics, they only rest Jaylen Brown. And let's face it, this isn't rest. This is an actual injury we've seen Jaylen Brown deal with for the past couple of weeks. We'll get to him in a little bit. We've been talking about him lately, a lot lately, and this knee injury. And I'm going to continue to talk about it tonight because I don't think we got a positive result, even though he wasn't out on the court. But only Jaylen Brown on the injury report for the Celtics, and it's a legitimate injury. But what is going on with the Hornets? What's going on with this? No LaMelo Ball, no Miles Bridges, no Brandon Miller, no Josh Green. Mark Williams, great, available. We know Grant Williams, legitimate injury. All right. All these other guys, now there's I will point this out. There may be some legitimate injuries out after Grant Williams. I know Grant Williams tore his ACL, but I'm looking at this going, these are some of the best players. These are all the best players on the Hornets. LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, Trey Mann, Josh Green, Brandon Miller, Mark Williams. Now, great, he was available, but he's questionable coming into today. These are all of the Hornets' best players. And you're telling me they're all injured? I'm sure some of them have somewhat of an injury or some of them are banged up, but what is this? What is this? Now, you know what? The NBA, they suffer from ratings. And I have a million opinions on why the NBA suffers from ratings. And we filmed on it before, I've written on it, but this is also a problem. I'm just saying, this is also a problem with the NBA and their ratings. Because you have a team like the Charlotte Hornets who have completely given up. You have a team who is openly tanking, and I don't understand how this is legal because you're not supposed to be resting players at the end of the year and tanking. But I'm calling this out because teams have clearly found a loophole in this. Clearly. Look at this. These are all the top rotation players for the Hornets. LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, Josh Green, Trey Mann, Brandon Miller. Mark Williams, great, he played, but he's on there too. What's going on? And Grant Williams tore his ACL, unfortunately, in Milwaukee earlier this year. I mean, I guess prayers to Grant. He was on the bench. He seems to be doing fine in his rehab. But I'm upset about this. I am, because tonight's game, you know what? I want the Charlotte Hornets to bring their best performance. All right? I want to see them play their best performance. And for half of the game, they did great. They challenged the Celtics. No, I want to see in game 81. I want to see LaMelo Ball. I want to see Brandon Miller. All right? I want to see Miles Bridges out there. Actually, I don't want to see Miles Bridges. You can keep him on the bench or out of the lineup. I don't want to see Miles Bridges. Just saying. I've been very clear on that in the past. But how is this allowed? The NBA literally put in restrictions on rest years ago to prevent this. Yet now teams, they'll just, we'll put these guys on the injury report. Al Horford, the big toe. For the Celtics, I'm glad. Fine, go ahead. Al Horford and his left big toe. Sure, Kristaps Porzingis and his mysterious illnesses. Sure, put him on the injury report. Oh, Drew Holiday and his shoulder? Sure, put him on the injury report. They get to rest. But the Hornets, and it's not just the Hornets, okay? I want to point that out. Look at the Wizards. We just faced the Wizards. Half of their lineup was out. Over half. Franco mentioned it on the broadcast. It was true. These teams at the end of the year, what? Why? Why? And here's who played. This is This is an abomination in today's NBA that this Hornets lineup played. All right? Here's the starting lineup for the Hornets. Mark Williams at center, who, one of the most popular Hornets because he was a Laker for 2 days before that trade was rescinded. So Mark Williams, who everybody has a great opinion on, as if they watch Charlotte Hornets basketball every night. Daquan Jeffries, former Knick. Daquan Jeffries, Josh Okogie, who was traded from the Phoenix Suns for Nick Richards earlier this year. Nick Smith Jr., all right, young guy. KJ Simpson, okay. Salon, okay, I won't even attempt his first name. Tijon Salon, okay. I guess I just did. Damian Baugh. Yusuf Nurkic, great. Nurk, throw him out there. Put him out there for 18 minutes. Let him get 14 points and 6 rebounds. Seth Curry, who actually, you know what? Let's we won't go into that yet. Jalen Sims. And when they said Jalen Sims, I heard it on the broadcast. I went, do they mean Jericho Sims? And I was like, oh no, forgot he plays for Milwaukee. But Jalen Sims, like, who is this? Wendell Moore Jr. Is Wendell Moore the only reason he in the NBA because he went to Duke? Legitimate question. What has he done in his NBA career up to this point? I believe this is year 3 of Wendell Moore. It's like, wasn't great at Duke. Timberwolves, nothing happened. He's on the Hornets. What's going on here? No offense to Wendell Moore. Just saying. And Taj Gibson, 5 minutes out there. That's your lineup if you're the Nets? Or sorry, not the Nets, the Hornets? The Hornets. The Hornets. What is this? What I mean, I'm great. I'm grateful these guys. I'm thankful, I should say. These guys got a run tonight because everybody who has worked this hard to make it here. Everybody in the NBA is talented. Don't get me wrong. These guys are talented basketball players, but relative to the NBA landscape, this roster is absolutely pathetic. And the reason for that is this injury report. I mean, maybe here's the thing. Maybe some of the guys in the lineup tonight, Josh Okogie, Mark Williams, Salon, Yusuf Nurkic, Seth Curry, some of these guys could be complementary pieces, good complementary pieces, next to LaMelo Ball, to Miles Bridges, to Brandon Miller, to Trey Mann, to Josh Green. Those guys on this injury report. Now, the Hornets, we know they're not going to be a great team anyway. I mean, we saw it earlier this season, what I'm talking about. But to throw out the lineup they did tonight, I'm sorry, this is tanking. This is what tanking looks like. I thought the NBA wanted to get rid of this. I thought the NBA years ago put in rules to eradicate tanking, to eradicate resting players in moments where, we're shutting down Joel Embiid. Oh, we're resting Paul George and Yabu, who was the only impactful Sixer this year. It's like, what? I'm sorry. The NBA, to me, years ago, it felt like the NBA, they make changes in which you think, okay, yeah, they're listening to fans. They are listening to the public. They're hearing the public, and they're going behind the scenes. They're going to the governors, the ownership, and they're making rule changes. They've done that. And I feel like most of the time it's just becoming a show because the NBA's done that with multiple things where, they changed the rule, but you have to stay on top of it. You have to execute the law in the league because teams doing this, it's ridiculous. I mean, let's take this for example. I believe it was last season. It seems like seasons ago, but I believe it was last season. Remember when the NBA was cracking down on the foul hunting? It's like, Trae Young and James Harden, they foul hunt so much. Stop calling this specific play where, a defender, he's defending normally, and then Harden or Trae Young just lunges his body forward and then shoots the ball. Or you have that uppercut that just, defender has his hands here. Uppercut. We see it from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a lot. Those type of plays. But that's what I'm saying is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was able to do that all season long, and now he's going to win the MVP, potentially over Nikola Jokic. And yet, one of his best attributes is getting to the free throw line based off of what he does in foul hunting, in which the NBA was supposed to crack down on last year. So that's one example, but I'm really talking about tanking right now. This is another example of, oh, the NBA, you can't just rest players. You'll be fine. When we see teams always get slaps on the wrist, like, okay, Atlanta, oh, you rested Trae Young in that NBA Cup game against the Celtics. Boom, fine. I believe the Suns maybe a couple weeks ago fined as well. I know a couple teams have been fined on this, but they're slaps on the wrist. Like, okay, $25,000, $50,000. Like, great. Like this organization, the Celtics just sold for $6.1 billion. Oh my goodness, we lost 25K because we arrested Trae Young. And those are the only punishments. I mean, it's serious. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. The NBA, they put in establishment to eradicate tanking by you're not allowed to rest your players or else you'll be fined. If this player is deemed healthy and he's resting, you'll be fined as a club. First of all, the fine, again, as I'm saying, slap on the wrist. Secondly, the NBA they pick and choose where they want to enforce it. And I want to say they enforce it. I mean, if you took all of the occasions, it's like 1 out of 100, 1 out of 200. Literally that ridiculous. Where on 100 to 200 occasions where a team will actually be outright resting their players, on one occasion of the 1 to 200, the NBA will actually do something about it. And the fine, $25,000, $50,000. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And let's just look at this injury report one more. This is tanking, okay? This is what I'm talking about. This is literally what I'm talking about. You cannot tell me that all of these players for the Hornets, oh, just all their best rotation players are magically hurt at the same time. Even the other night, the Celtics in Orlando, top 6, all resting, all out. It's like, are they all unhealthy the same game? Every single one of them? Oh my goodness, Tatum. Like they literally pull out injuries from, oh, this happened earlier this season, and we're just going to bring it back around. Drew Holiday in his shoulder. Okay, we need to, he needs to be out, shoulder impingement. We have to condition him. Or the injury, this is what they call it, injury management, right? Injury management. That's what I was looking for. Drew Holiday and his shoulder impingement. Oh, Jason Tatum and his ankle. Oh, he rolled his ankle in Sacramento. Okay, just put him out of the lineup. Yeah. Yeah, he's dealing with that ankle still. Oh, Porzingis. Oh, he's sick again. He's sick. It's flu season for nobody else but Porzingis. It's like Horford. That toe is bothering him constantly. That toe is bothering him. It's like, what? These players aren't injured. Like, it's a bunch of bogus. It's absolutely 100% a bunch of bogus. The only injured player I'll say on that list, that injury report, is Jaylen Brown and his knee. Straight up. Jaylen Brown wasn't resting. We've known about that knee issue for a while now. He's talked about it. Everybody else, I mean, and Grant Williams on the Hornets side of things, sure, torn ACL. Everybody else, I mean, I can't. How do you have all your best players? Every single one of them. Every single one. And it's just a loophole because I don't think the NBA, like if you're getting, if you're going to the doctor and the doctor is writing a note, right? And you hand it to the Adam Silver, here you go. Here's my doctor's note. It's like, I don't think Adam Silver can turn that down the way your teachers and counselors couldn't turn it down. Like, oh, here's my doctor's note. It's like, okay. Like, that's basically what's happening in the NBA. The NBA went, if you're outright resting, if you're just missing school, you're getting fined, you're getting a detention, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Now, it's like, oh, here's my doctor's note. And it's like, oh, who is this? Oh, the team doctor? It's like one of your parents being the doctor. Like, just write me a note. You get it right. Or one of your friends or whoever. It's like, yeah, give me the note. And that's literally what's going on in the NBA right now. Just wanted to point that out because the lineups we saw in this game, just utterly horrendous. Utterly horrendous. I mean, I can't believe the NBA allows it. I really can't. But again, as I mentioned, Jaylen Brown, the only injured player on that list, the injury report, as you saw, Jaylen Brown did not play tonight's game. We've talked about Jaylen Brown a lot lately on postgame and his knee issue. We really beat this topic like a dead horse, but let's face it, there's more to talk about with this because I deep dove this a little bit during the game, and I'm not exactly comfortable with some of the findings here when it comes to Jaylen Brown. Because Jaylen Brown, okay, is dealing with this knee issue. I'm a little confused as to what exactly was the plan with him over this past week. Because we knew coming into the week he had a knee issue, all right? And it seemed as if Jaylen Brown, I believe we had, 5 games left? I believe that might have been the number. Regardless, however many games were left, we knew, okay, Jaylen Brown could only miss one more game. Okay, one more game to hit that 65 game threshold to be eligible for NBA awards, including all NBA and all the hoopla, right? So after the Phoenix game where Jaylen scored 31, one player spotlight, great, played 28 minutes that night, we knew he had a knee issue. And then we came into the post game and went, okay, he's dealing with this knee issue. However, 31 points tonight, efficient shooting, didn't seem to affect his ability to impact the team, but did seem to affect his movement, his athleticism, everything he normally does, but he was still impactful on the Celtics, still scored 31 points. So after that, 5 games left. Jaylen needed 4 of the next 5. So that's how he came in to this week. All right, here we go. So it was 5 games. Jaylen plays 21-34 against Washington, 21-39 against New York. Okay, so he just barely gets over the 20-minute mark, which I'll disclaim that too. Jaylen Brown needed to play 4 of the last 5 games and play 20 minutes in all 4 of those games, at least 20 minutes, to be eligible for NBA awards to reach that 65 game threshold. Well, Jaylen Brown plays 21-34 against Washington, 21-39 against the Knicks, and that Knicks game was, there were signals put out from that game because Tatum played 47 minutes, Holiday played 37 minutes, Porzingis played 38 minutes, and those guys in there, they played major minutes in an overtime game. The starters, the regular rotation players. But guess who didn't? Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown played 21-39 that night. 21-39. The core of the Celtics rotation played intensely in New York despite that game not meaning too much. And Joe Mazzulla pushed Tatum's minutes, Porzingis' minutes, Holiday's minutes, right? And Holiday and Porzingis, like I said back then, guys you typically want to put on ice, push the minutes forward. Jaylen Brown, on the other hand, took the minutes back. 21-39, was not in crunch time in the final 6 minutes of that game, didn't play overtime. And that was a little concerning to me because I'm going, okay, he's definitely not healthy. And right now, where they're just playing him over 20 minutes, it looked like they're going to play him to the 65 game mark. He's maybe going to rest one of these last games, maybe against the Hornets, maybe against the Magic, who knows? And the Celtics, they're going to just try to get him right past that 65 game mark because those 2 games, Washington, New York, he's only playing 21 minutes in those games. They're just getting him past that 20-minute mark to just get him past that 65 game mark or just hit it. But this is where I'm confused. He's clearly not healthy in that Phoenix game, clearly not healthy the next 2 games against the Wizards, against the Knicks. But then doesn't play the Orlando game, but we're still thinking, all right, well, if Jaylen Brown plays 20 minutes or more in both Charlotte games, he still gets to that mark. And we've already talked about this. Could it be the Orlando game or the Charlotte game he rests? Who knows? But tonight, Jaylen Brown doesn't play. So what is going on here? So Jaylen Brown doesn't play, so he's now not going to get to that 65 game threshold. Jaylen Brown will not get there as he will maybe not. Even if he does play on Sunday against the Hornets, that's only 64. That's only 64 games for Jaylen Brown. Will not reach that 65 game threshold, which to me, looking at the 20-minute games, looked to be the goal. It seemed like, they're trying to get Jaylen to that goal because he's not healthy, yet they're just kind of putting him over 20 minutes. Right? They're just putting him over that 20-minute mark. This is where I'm a little confused as to why Jalen even played those 2 games. The Washington game was you didn't even, Tatum didn't play that night. Porzingis didn't play that night. Celtics still won by 34 points. Jalen didn't need to play that night either because he really wasn't effective in that game after he made an impact against the Phoenix Suns a couple nights before. Didn't need to play in that Washington game. Yet he plays 21 minutes and it feels like, oh, they're maybe trying to push his minutes to get him to that 65 game threshold. And then in New York, same thing. So why, if Jaylen Brown wasn't healthy, why did he play 42 minutes between those 2 games? I'm failing to understand why this was the path for Jaylen Brown this week. I have no idea. I don't know. Right now, I'm assuming Jaylen Brown is not healthy. He's not healthy at all. Missed the last 2 games. He's the only Celtic on the injury report tonight. He's the only Celtic of the core rotation group that didn't play major minutes in that New York game. And I'll bring out these stats. So, leading up to the Miami game a couple weeks ago, so the Miami game at Miami, not the Miami game where the Celtics lost at home 124-103 to the Heat, but the Miami game at South Beach. Leading up to that game, Jaylen Brown played 8 of the last 10 games for the Celtics. And in all of those 8 games that Jaylen played, he played over 30 minutes. Every single one of them. 8 games in a row. Now, of course, he missed 2 games within that stretch, but the games he played, over 30 minutes. The last game within that stretch was the Oklahoma City game at the Garden, where, of course, the Thunder beat the Celtics 118-112 that night, unfortunately. And everybody points back to the game. Oh, OKC, they won by what, 6 points? Let's chill out on OKC real quick. Just saying. But that game, Jaylen Brown played 37-59, so basically 38 minutes against the Oklahoma City Thunder. However, since that OKC game on March 12th, Jaylen Brown has not played over 30 minutes in a basketball game. Has not. So the 8 games Jaylen Brown played of the last 10 Celtics games before the Miami game, which came after the Oklahoma City game, Jaylen Brown played 30 minutes. 8 straight games, 30 minutes. Then Jaylen Brown goes on a stretch where he misses 7 of 15 games, including tonight, and he does not play over 30 minutes in any of the 8 games in which he actually played in. Is that not wildly concerning? Do I have to be more clear on this? Seriously. Missed 7 of the last 15 games. Jaylen Brown played 8 of the last 15 games. In all 8 of those games, did not make it over the 30-minute mark. And then before March 12th and before the 8 games before March 12th, including that game against Oklahoma City, Jaylen Brown played 30 minutes in all those. So if you're looking at this, in the last 16 games, Jaylen Brown played 30 minutes a game the first 8 games, and then the next 8 games did not play over 30 minutes. That, to me, wildly concerning, because you're talking about the second best player on the Boston Celtics, and he gets overlooked a lot. Jaylen Brown gets looked over a lot because of all the other great pieces on the Celtics and how great Jason Tatum's been this year. But don't get it twisted. Jaylen Brown is still a highly important piece for this Celtics team, both defensively and offensively. He won Finals MVP last year. He won Eastern Conference Finals MVP last year because of what he was able to do when teams attacked Jason Tatum on the double. Jason Tatum passed out of that double. The team, their ball movement last year, and even, right now, the ball movement on the team is phenomenal. But the ball found Jaylen Brown, and he had the hot hand. And on both ends of the floor, he earned those awards last year because of how important he was for the Celtics. This year, I can't say with confidence that Jaylen Brown is going to be as effective going into the playoffs. Can he get healthy for later on in the playoffs? Maybe, but we don't really know exactly what he's dealing with. We know it's a knee injury, but it's something that he feels rest won't help at this given moment. And we're thinking, oh, it can't get worse. But let's face it, I mean, it's a knee injury. It can always get worse. If you're talking about a swollen knee for Jaylen Brown, if you're talking about something of that nature. I mean, I am definitely, unfortunately, at this moment in time, I'm a little concerned about Jaylen Brown. And I've been clear about that on post games recently, but this one as well. This one as well. Just mining a couple of those stats off the books, off basketball reference tonight. So shout out basketball reference for all the game logs and whatnot. And what we'll also see in a basketball reference game log not too long from now, maybe tomorrow morning, is this. This came up at the end of the game, and I could not help but take a pic and put it up on screen because what is going on here? 31-4 points off turnovers between the Celtics and the Hornets tonight. 31-4. Now, at the end of the night, it was 31-6, to be fair, for the Hornets. But you see, the Celtics, they only turned the ball over 10 times tonight. Meanwhile, they forced 17 on the Hornets end, and the Celtics turned that into 31 points on the night. That's where it ended. It was 31-6 at the end of the night. But this stat, I couldn't help but take a pic of it and highlight it on postgame because this is just ludicrous. And it goes along with, I just went on a crazy rant about NBA tanking 10, 15 minutes ago, whatever it was. That would have been a great stat to show during that segment because that's what it produces. The lopsided numbers like that 31-4, really? And courtesy of NBC Sports Boston on that one. I don't know if Dick Lipa, he might have had his hand on that stat. We don't really know. But just showing some more things here from NBC Sports Boston tonight because they ran a campaign ad. NBC Sports Boston ran a campaign ad for Luke Cornett. I shouldn't even say NBC Sports Boston ran it. I mean, might as well be the Luke Cornett organization, administration, whatever you want to call it, because Luke Cornett, he was campaigning for the Tommy Award. Now, coming into tonight, little backstory. NBC Sports Boston, they give out the Tommy Award after each game. Not necessarily the player of the game, but player who hustled the hardest, made the impact maybe under the player of the game. Kind of like Justin's Flowers on here earlier this season. Well, Luke Cornett came in with 12 on the season, Derek White with 14. Of course, there's 2 games left on the year in the regular season. Tonight's game on Friday here and on Sunday against the Charlotte Hornets. So Luke Cornett, he needed to win both Tommy Awards in order to get over that hump and tie Derek White. Now, I don't know what they do in that scenario of 2 players tie, but he needed to tie Derek White with 2. However, Luke Cornett, I don't know if he won the Tommy Award tonight or not, but I think he won over all of us yet again because Luke Cornett is a man of the people, folks. He's a man of the people. I mean, there you go. First of all, I mean, this is debatable. It's a debatable topic on this broadcast. Luke Cornett over Derek White. I mean, that's seemingly what hardworking, hard hat Luke has to say. And Luke, he approved of his message tonight. We can't show you the video because of copyright purposes, but we'll show you Luke Cornett in that yellow jacket because as Luke Cornett does on the basketball court, he comes to work, he works hard, and he's a man of the people. And will he come out with the Tommy Award? I don't know what they call it. Tommy Award Championship Award, a Tommy Award for the year. I don't know. But Luke Cornett, I just had to throw that up tonight because saw that and they ran the campaign ad for him out on the floor and or during the game, I should say, on NBC Sports Boston during the third quarter. Probably out there on Twitter somewhere, so people can go check it out. But we cannot show you guys the video here because we would instantly get copyrighted from that. But we'll show you a couple screenshots. But some more things to throw up. Now, this is the point in the year where, again, I said earlier, you start seeing some wonky things. Now, we were talking about the injury report earlier and even that points off of turnovers graphic, but some teams in good vibes, I would say the Hornets, Seth Curry, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but he's mentioned how he's having some of the most fun in his entire career on this Hornets team. And, I'm not going to put that down. I'm saying, they lose a lot, but hey, they have a younger team who doesn't exactly know how to win. They can have fun playing basketball while also losing because they don't have an elongated experience in losing in the NBA, unless you're talking about guys like maybe LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges at the top of the roster. But everybody else on the Hornets roster seems like they're having a bit of fun in this year. So winning or losing doesn't necessarily dictate the amount of fun a team can have on their roster, but we know how much winning does for the Boston Celtics. And tonight, this was this was gold. This was absolute gold. So Jason Tatum and Derek White swapped outfits tonight. This I noticed this earlier in the game. I didn't notice Jason. I mean, what I did is I noticed both of them separate, and then eventually actually saw on the Celtics Talk Weekly page. Rob posted it alongside Zach earlier, the Celtics fan page. Saw it on there, but this is off of Twitter. Jason Tatum, he's wearing Derek White's typical, combination of accessories, and you see Derek White, he's wearing Jason Tatum's combination of accessories. I noticed this earlier in the game. I was going, oh, Derek White, one leg sleeve tonight. I'm like, oh, and the armband, oh, he kind of looks like Tatum out there. And then I'm going, Tatum, the not really the leg sleeves for Tatum necessarily, because we've seen Tatum with double leg sleeves, but maybe the leg sleeves, no armband, and the dark shoes. I mean, that was sticking out a little bit. It's weird how players, you see them every other night, almost every night. You kind of notice these little things, right? Al Horford shooting sleeve. You kind of notice these things. Probably couldn't name them off the top of your head, but when you see them, they stick out to you because Derek White and Jason Tatum, they swapped outfits tonight. And to give an example, so this is what they looked like on the floor against the Hornets earlier this evening. But just to give an example of different occasions where they've looked like their normal selves within their accessories. So this is a photo from earlier this season. Actually, no, it's from last year, if I'm not mistaken. And there's Derek White and Jason Tatum. You see some examples here of their typical combinations of accessories. Different angle of this photo in Philadelphia. Always great moments back in 2022. But yeah, there you go. There's tonight, Derek White and Jason Tatum. It's kind of like, spot the difference. Spot the difference because they swapped outfits tonight. A little fun thing. Game 81 of the season. Another reason, I mean, the Charlotte Hornets, do teams take them seriously? I know accessories, and it's not going to affect the gameplay at all, but it is kind of a fun thing. Oh, game back at the Garden, game 81. Let's do this thing. Well, somebody, I'm sure there's probably quoted tweets out there or clips at this point. Somebody had to have asked them that at the podium, right? Somebody. Hey, can we get our guy, Daniel Donabedian, ask him, Bobby Kravitsky, Cam Tabatabaye, Justin Turp, any of them? Can we get him to ask about this? Because I mean, first of all, it must have been planned, but I'm fascinated to see how the story went about. Was this on the flight home from, where was the last game? Orlando? Longer flight home from Florida. Was it planned there? Just interested in all of that. But yeah, Derek White and Jason Tatum swapping outfits tonight. Found that kind of funny. Kind of funny. Good to see. But where do I want to go here next with this show? Where do I want to go here? Just want to give we can give some quick, I don't know. I don't even know if we have this in here, but we'll show this right now. So the Celtics, tonight, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, and Jason Tatum became the first trio of teammates in NBA history to hit 250 three-pointers in a season. Now, we've been talking about the three-point records for the Celtics as of late, and we knew that these guys were likely to all break the franchise record for threes made by Isaiah Thomas in a single season. Isaiah Thomas, he held that record ever since 2016-17. Isaiah Thomas held the franchise record, the Celtics franchise record for most threes made in a single season. Now, Jason Tatum, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White all surpassed that mark of 200. It was 245. All three of these guys now have 250, and that is a single season record for the entire NBA. So no trio of teammates have ever hit 250 three-pointers in a single season, and you'd have to imagine some of these records are probably going to be broken a couple times in the next couple of years just because of the pace of the game, the volume of threes taken. But hey, when you're on the forefront of history, this is what it looks like. Derek White's going to have the franchise record in threes made, unless Peyton Pritchard or Jason Tatum have one of the best shooting games in NBA history on Sunday against the Charlotte Hornets. Derek White is likely going to come out with the most made threes in a single season in franchise history for the Celtics. And this is a team that's, I mean, they're first in attempts. I believe they've made more than any other team in NBA history. We've been showing all these stats as of late, but the Celtics have multiple historic records when it comes to 3-point shooting this season, and this is just another one. We have to show yet another one. We've been doing it on Postgame a lot lately, but this is yet another stat to show when it comes to the 3-point makes of the Boston Celtics. Now, speaking of 3-pointers, there's another player who was out on the court tonight. I want to give him some praise because they mentioned it early on in the game on both broadcasts, and Seth Curry finally made his 83rd three-pointer of the season, which meant he was finally eligible to compete for the three-point percentage title, which now 45.6% from three for Seth Curry on the season. You look at some of these names. I mean, shooting over 40% from three and doing it at this clip. Seth Curry, Zach LaVine, Taurean Prince, Ty Jerome, Harrison Barnes, surprising on there, but some of the best shooters in the NBA, and it's not easy to do this. And I just had to look up earlier. I'm going, who exactly holds the record for 3-point percentage in a single season? And it was Kyle Korver back in, I believe, 09-10. Didn't write down the stat, but he was somewhere around 53, 54% that season. And I was wondering, I'm like, how close is Seth Curry away from the actual record of 3-point percentage? Uh, Turns out he's not anywhere close. He's nearly 10 percentage points away behind Kyle Korver, but it does look like Seth Curry with the threes made tonight. Now, he made 5 threes in tonight's game, Seth Curry did, and he was kind of lighting up there for the Hornets a bit, and you could tell he was trying to get over those screens a little aggressively. He was really running around the court. He was looking for a shot. You could tell Seth Curry. He wanted to. I think he definitely wanted to become part of this category because I mean, 83 threes on a season doesn't seem like that much, especially when his brother holds the record for what 400 threes made in a season. His brother Steph holds the record for most threes made in a season. Now, 83 doesn't seem that much, but Seth Curry he had to get to that mark in order to be eligible because Seth Curry is more of a bench player. I mean, he is a bench player for the Charlotte Hornets, but he's more of a bench player who doesn't see the court that often. And yet he still hits 83 threes on the season and becomes eligible for this. I mean, I don't want to call it an award, but his name will be in the history books when it comes to who led this season in 3-point percentage. Well, Seth Curry. And just highlights it in terms of that Curry family. Oh my goodness. I mean, Del Curry, one of the best shooters of all time in his day and age in the 90s and early 2000s. Yet, I mean, the best shooters are still to come from that family of Steph Curry, arguably the best shooter of all time. And now Seth Curry, he's going to hold a record for 3-point percentage this season. Now, not all time, as I said with Kyle Korver, but just this season. And that's quite a bit of an accomplishment. Now, I'll show another tweet up here that's, let's face it, not all that much of an accomplishment. We're just going to poke fun at this team real quick. The New York Knicks. Woof. The New York Knicks. They finished the season 0-10. Whew, 7 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. I mean, 0-10 against the top 3 teams in the NBA. Ironically, all teams who are now over the 60-win mark and who the only teams who will be over the 60-win mark this season. But the Celtics, the Cavs, the Thunder, 0-4 against the Celtics, 0-4 against the Cavs, 0-2 against the Thunder, 0-10 against the top 3 teams in the NBA. The Knicks become after tonight. The other night, of course, the Boston Celtics beat the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. And I mean, look at that game. We talked about it on this program. Maybe one of the games of the season. Maybe one of the games, even though it didn't mean anything analytically, maybe one of the games of the season. And this is just another reason why the New York Knicks 0-10 against top 3 teams in the NBA. So looking at that, I do want to talk though about the standings in the East, because we've known for a while the Celtics, they've been the number 2 seed. And they haven't had it locked up the whole season, but that's what it felt like. That's what it really felt like. And what is that commercial that's out there that says, boring. That's exactly what you want. You want, it's an investment commercial, and they're like, you want us to be boring with your money. Well, the Celtics, they've been that way this year. Been a little boring. I mean, now the middle portion of the year, you could say, okay, the Celtics, they had that 500 run, as I mentioned earlier in the show, and he mentioned a million times this past year. They had that middle portion of the year where things got a little interesting from the standpoint of, can this team actually go back to back? Do they want to go back to back? Are they serious about going back to back? We did have that time. But through and through, the Celtics were the second seed. There was no point in time the Knicks came up behind the Celtics and went, oh, we're taking that second seed from you. Were there moments where the Knicks, oh, they're a game and a half back. Oh, they're 2 games, they're 3 games. Sure, those were the most interesting parts, but the Knicks never overcame the Celtics for that second seed, nor any other team. And 1, 2, and 3 all year long in the East has been Cleveland, Boston, New York. All year long. You can go back. Go all the way back to October 30th. The Cleveland Cavaliers overtook the Boston Celtics for the first seed in the East on that day. Since October 30th, 2024, both teams have stayed exactly in that seed. Cleveland in 1, Boston in 2. The Knicks at that time, I believe they were hovering around 4, 5, 6. They came up in the standings, grabbed number 3, and then took off from there. But the rest of the East, this seed jockeying we've seen this season, and even at the end of the season, some of the most unentertaining seed jockeying I think I've ever seen, at least in the Eastern Conference. Now the West, that's where we're getting the positive, the negative variance. Out West, it's just insane right now. The West is insane. Now the East, on the other hand, all these teams, it's been 1, 2, 3, Boston, or sorry, force of habit from last year. Cleveland, Boston, New York, and then 4, 5, 6, you have Milwaukee, Indiana, Detroit. Detroit snuck up there halfway through the year, been there ever since. Then you have Atlanta, Orlando, Chicago, Miami. Great. And then the bottom tier has just been complete fallout. You have the Hornets, the Wizards, the Sixers, the Nets, the Raptors. None of them ever had a chance to make the playoffs or even the play-in. And things were set out east. But that brings me to the point of now, with 2 days left in the season, all right? So 2 days. Now one game day left in the season on Sunday, right? But 2 days. Okay. The Eastern Conference is set. Don't even bother to watch on Sunday, folks. Don't even bother to watch in the Eastern Conference. Watch the West. The West is going to be really interesting on Sunday during the last day of the regular season. As for the Eastern Conference, the postseason picture is set, folks. Number 1, Cleveland. Number 2, Boston. Number 3, New York. We knew that all year. We've known that all year. And, well, comes to fruition, finally, with 2 days left in the season. Pacers at 4, Bucks at 5, 6, the Detroit Pistons, who won 14 games last year. 6 seed the Pistons achieved this year. The Magic at 7, the Hawks at 8, the Bulls at 9, the Heat at 10. This is what your Eastern Conference postseason picture looks like. Here are the playoffs. Playoffs are here, baby. First off, let's just break this down real quick. The Magic and Hawks will play in the East 7-8 playing game, and the winner of that game will face the Boston Celtics round 1. So at this point, the Celtics will either face the Magic or the Hawks in round 1 of the 2025 NBA playoffs. We know that. But what we also know is on the side of the bracket in which the Celtics reside. So the Celtics are going to be 2-7, above the 2-7 or below, however you write it down, will be the 3-6. And the 3-6 matchup will be the New York Knicks versus the Detroit Pistons. And a lot of people are interested in that one because they believe the Detroit Pistons can give the New York Knicks a run. And that's exactly what they did the other night, beating the Knicks 115-106. They might have actually been last night, now that I think about it. But that's who you have in the East if you're the Celtics. You either are facing the Hawks or Magic in round one, and then in round two, you have the Knicks or Pistons. So to make it to the conference finals, you're playing two series against either the Knicks, Pistons, Magic, or Hawks. Straight up. And that's a really good draw if you're the Celtics. That's a really good draw. You're of course not going to see Cleveland, who's at the top of the bracket. And that's why, conference finals between the Celtics and the Cavs, that's what's been talked about all year, 1 and 2. But outside of that, it's like the Pacers. You look at the Knicks and the Pacers and where they've gone this season. The Pacers, they're 8-2 in their last they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. Now, I will say, I'll disclaim this real quick. The Pacers, now some of these teams played tonight, so some of these records will be a little skewed because I wrote this down last night. But the Pacers are 8-2 in their last 10 games, 14-6 in their last 20, 20-10 in their last 30. All right. So Indiana, they've been doing the do over the last 30 games, last 20 games, over the last 10, 8-2 in their last 10. As for Detroit, and you know what? I guess I'm just gonna go off on this segment here. I'm just gonna go off on a tangent here. You know what? Let's do it. We're gonna do it. Let's put this screen back up. All right. We're gonna do it. We're gonna go on this tangent. Okay. So Indiana, you don't see Indiana if you're the Celtics. All right. You don't see Milwaukee if you're the Celtics in round two. Both of those teams have been better than Detroit in the last month and a half. And I hate to say it, but the Detroit Pistons, Justin Lowe's favorite. Justin Lowe's favorite. All right. We all know Justin loves the Pistons. The Detroit Pistons are so overrated right now by the public. So overrated. And it's, Rob kind of mentioned it the other night. He's like, the Pistons. But is this just the shiny new thing out east and they're not actually that good? Because the Detroit Pistons, everybody hopped on the Pistons because they went 10-1 between February 7th and March 3rd. All right, 10-1. Great record. 10-1. And it included, I believe, an 8-game winning streak, right? However, that 10-1 stretch for the Pistons, I'll remind everybody, here were the games the Pistons played. Here were the games. Detroit beat Philadelphia, Charlotte, Chicago twice, San Antonio, Atlanta, the Clippers. They beat the Boston Celtics. Kudos. The Brooklyn Nets. Utah. So Philadelphia, Charlotte, Chicago twice, San Antonio, Atlanta, the Clippers, Boston, Brooklyn, and Utah. In other words, 2 playoff teams, 2 play-in teams, and 5 lottery teams. And the lottery teams this year, utterly horrendous. And we've already talked about it. Tanking is back in the NBA. Tanking is 100% completely back. It never left. Teams found loopholes. But there you go. Since that 10-1 stretch, the Detroit Pistons are 9-9. 9-9. And in their last 10, the Pistons are 5-5. The last 20, they're 11-9. Their last 30 is 19-11. And their last 31 is 19-12. But that record, that 19-11, 19-12, included this run right here, where they went 10-1, which was between February 7th and March 3rd. So for a little bit less than a month, the Detroit Pistons went on a 10-1 run, and they beat the Sixers, the Hornets, the Bulls twice, the Spurs, the Hawks, the Clippers, the Celtics, the Nets, and the Jazz. 2 playoff teams, 2 play-in teams, 5 lottery teams. The Detroit Pistons do not scare me one bit. Okay, I respect the Pistons because I expected them to be good last year. All right, I expected the Pistons to be good last year. They won 14 games. The veterans on that team never produced the way that anyone thought they would. They were either injured, they actually did not produce in the lineup, And the Pistons had a bunch of young guys who just weren't ready yet. This season, however, and everybody with the coach, Monty Williams, we know what happened there. This season, however, I slotted Detroit in at the 10 slot. I went, they could get up to the play-in. 100%. This could be a year where they get into the play-in. Way better veterans. Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley. Those veterans are going to be a lot better than what they had the year before. 100%. And the Pistons, they made their way up to the 6th slot. And if the Pistons don't beat the Bucks this weekend, which I believe they have a back-to-back against the Bucks, the Pistons do. Or sorry, we're talking about the playoffs being set. So they lost tonight to the Bucks. I'm guessing here something happened here. But the Pistons, they're at the 6th slot right now. They're going to slot in at the 6th slot. That's great. That is amazing for the Detroit Pistons from where they were last year, what their projection was this year. They 100% overexceeded expectations. But now, because they are the new shiny thing out east, people believe, oh my goodness, watch out for this Pistons team come playoff time. Watch out for the Pistons, folks. Watch out. Do we really need to watch out? You know who needs to watch out is the New York Knicks. Okay, I can see people's perspective in that where it's like, okay, could they beat the Knicks? 100%. But how far are they going to go? So, I mean, semifinals will be, yes, the Pistons are making some noise in the playoffs. But that's if they beat the Knicks. Are they going to beat the Celtics? Do the Celtics fear the Pistons if it's Celtics Pistons round 2? No. No. This is a 500 ball club over the last 20 games, over the last 10 games. They went on a 10-1 run in February, essentially. And that 10-1 run included 5 lottery teams and 2 play-in teams. And 2 playoff teams, Clippers and the Celtics. Just saying. I'm just saying the Pistons, you look at the record and you just look at really what they are. Like the Pistons, I respect them from the standpoint of, okay, Cade Cunningham, he's going to be a certified perennial all-star in the next however many years. Okay, at least next half decade. And then outside of that, like I said with the veterans, Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley, Tobias Harris, they've all contributed with the Pistons this year. Bron Holland is a really tough rookie. Not the greatest shooter in the world, but a tough rookie that you actually love to have out on the floor. Super young player. Duran, high energy player. Almost reminds me a little bit of, eh, maybe not so much Robert Williams, but almost the way he plays, how hard he plays. And that Pistons team, looking at everybody on the roster, I'll say this. They're a quality basketball team. And could they be a contender as soon as next year or the year after? Sure. But I just don't really see it to be this year. I don't. You look at their roster, and I'm just going to skim through it real quick. The whole roster, I should say. So the Pistons, you have Cade Cunningham, the perennial all-star, as I mentioned. And you have the 3 most contributing veterans, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Tobias Harris. Jaden Ivey, of course, hasn't been in the lineup since January. That's unfortunate. But Jalen Duran, young guy, high energy guy, great rebounder, great pick and roll player. Not a shooter, but somebody that you want in your lineup. Dennis Schroeder, veteran presence in Detroit. And we know how good of a player Dennis Schroeder can be. He has a couple of flaws in his game for making him a little, I should say, he has a couple of flaws in his game in which you would typically winning teams who play more team-oriented basketball. Sometimes Dennis Schroeder doesn't always fit in the best. I mean, the 2 best examples of that, 21-22 Celtics, Dennis Schroeder didn't really work alongside Marcus Smart. Some shooting issues, kind of some playmaking, ball dominant player issues with Schroeder and Smart and even Josh Richardson on that team. Schroeder this year with the Golden State Warriors, he's a little more prone to dribble the ball, not really in a fast-paced cutting offense. And we kind of see the results with Dennis Schroeder. And kind of he's in that range of talented enough to where he should be in the NBA, but he does have these flaws where some of these winning teams don't necessarily want Schroeder to be slotted into the rotation, but then losing teams, it doesn't really make any sense for losing teams to have Schroeder, and that's where he falls on the Detroit Pistons, where the Pistons are going, well, this is another nice veteran to have on our team, and which was supposed to be bad, but hey, we're actually pretty good now that we have all these veterans and contributing players alongside our good young players such as Austin Thompson, even Isaiah Stewart. I mean, Isaiah Stewart, he's in year like what 5 right now, I want to say, same year as Pritchard in the draft. But Ron Holland, another young guy I just mentioned, Marcus Sasser, and Saman Fontecchio, not necessarily too young. Although, yeah, I was gonna say he's 29 years old, but shooter coming off the bench, traded for last year in the middle of the season from the Utah Jazz to the Pistons. Pistons kind of, oh, the Utah Jazz, you want to tank? Oh, we'll take your European gem off your hands, Danny Ainge, as Danny Ainge seemingly finds every single season. But that's where the Pistons are with their roster. You all that roster, it's quality veterans other teams didn't necessarily want, as we see Tobias Harris, like, the Sixers, like, we're good. Malik Beasley at the Bucks, we're good. Tim Hardaway with the Mavs, we're good. Dennis Schroeder with the Warriors, we're good. And of course, the Nets earlier this season. But those vets, it's like other teams didn't necessarily want them for a reason. And they've slotted in and played well with the Pistons, but this isn't a basketball team that's going to really scare a team like the Boston Celtics in a 7-game series. Could they win a game? Could they win 2 games? Maybe. I mean, at least a game, sure. 2 games, maybe. Against the Celtics, maybe. But this isn't a team I'm afraid of right now. And people are kind of slotting them in as that team because of their turnaround. The 14-win season last year coming into now a 6 seed, people are going, ooh, the new shiny thing, the Detroit Pistons. You don't want to play them. But really looking at it, I want to play the Knicks and the Pistons as much as I want to play the Bucks or the Pacers. Do I want to play Giannis in a second round series? Do I want to play the Pacers, who are going to be a healthier version of a team that nearly brought Boston to the precipice of going down 3-1 in a series last year? That was a sweep against the Pacers, but the ball bounces a couple different ways and directions. That series is 3-1 in favor of the Pacers, or at least 2-2, or at least more competitive than a straight sweep for the Celtics, which was miraculous at the end of the entire series. The Pacers, they'll be coming in this year with a better team against the Celtics, and they're on a roll. They're 8-2 in their last 10. And you have the Bucks again with Giannis. Those 2 teams. Why would I not want to play a team like the Knicks, who 0-4, they cannot beat us whatsoever. They have one look to their lineup. They have players who are going to eventually become gassed at this time of year because of how many minutes they played all year under Tom Thibodeau. And Jalen Brunson as well. I mean, we've gone over this with the Knicks so many times. They have a versatility problem. The versatility problem with the Knicks starts with their bench and the fact the Knicks don't have much to bring off their bench, period, for who they have on the floor on any given night. So their starting lineup, you have Brunson, you have Towns. Now they're making up the bulk of the team's offense. It's coming from Towns, it's coming from Brunson. And those 2 players, despite being the 2 most offensively talented players on the New York Knicks, the highest producers on the Knicks, they're players in which are defensive liabilities. They are defensive liabilities on the basketball floor. And Brunson and Towns, you can't necessarily take them out of the Knicks rotation without sacrificing the Knicks' ability to produce points. And that's the problem with the Knicks. Those players, offensively oriented, Towns and Brunson, they can't be taken out of the lineup. And they're defensive liabilities, because if you take them out of the lineup, you leave the lineup with Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges. And the problem with those 3 players is they are defensive oriented, and offensively, they don't really produce much for the team. Now, Mikal Bridges is the most offensively talented, followed by Josh Hart and then Anunoby. But those players, they're defensive oriented, and you don't have much offense within those three players. And off the bench, you can't make up for this if you're the New York Knicks. Your bench just, quite frankly, isn't getting it done. I mean, your Tom Thibodeau, we've seen it many, many times in the past and even this season. He's not gonna respect his bench. He's not gonna rely on his bench. He just has never been a coach that has. And that kind of has, the talks of, oh, the Knicks, could they be searching for a new coach next off season? Maybe, because ultimately Tom Thibodeau, is there another level to bring this New York Knicks team? Just want to go over the Knicks real quick as well, because this is going to be another team in the Celtics bracket. But the Knicks, so I mentioned the starting lineup and who's involved there, but off the bench, this is what I'm talking about. Off the bench, you have Miles McBride, Precious Achua, Delon Wright, Mitchell Robinson, Cam Payne, Landry Shamet. All right, so not much there. Huck Porty, maybe, again. Everybody else, I mean, you're not going to see him in a series. And that's where that's a problem with the Knicks. Miles McBride, great defensive player. Offensively, needs some work. Precious Achua, offensively oriented? No. Delon Wright only played 13 games with the Knicks this season. Mitchell Robinson, only 16. Is he going to be healthy? I mean, you just look at their bench. There's not a lot of defensive or offensive versatility off the bench. There's not a lot of guys who can just score points for the Knicks, right? It's Brunson and Towns. If you replace them with anybody off the bench, the offense just isn't flowing for the Knicks. Just isn't. They can still be a great defensive team, but the offense just isn't quite flowing. And that's where the Knicks tried to bank on. They have this great defensive team, but then, Towns and Brunson, they'll be able to score enough points and make enough offense for guys like Anunoby, Bridges, Hart, in order to be a true contender. But I don't see how it's possible the Knicks compete realistically with the Celtics. Okay, they might bring them to 5 games, 6 games, sure. Could it go 7? Maybe. But the Knicks, they have too many holes within the roster versatility. They just do. I mean, you look at it, Brunson and Towns, they are the offensive creators for the Knicks, yet they're defensive liabilities. The other 3 players in that starting lineup, defensive-oriented players, offensively, not so much in terms of creation. And that's a problem with the New York Knicks, is if you are taking Brunson or Towns off because they're being picked apart on defense, right? The Celtics will be hunting Towns, hunting Brunson. The Celtics are hunting those guys. If one of those guys come out, that offense, you're not going to see much of it. And that's just unfortunately what it is with the New York Knicks. But I will say, I do want to talk about this real quickly. Just go over some notes real quick because I hit a lot of things tonight. I guess I hit a lot of things. I just want to mention maybe real quick. Mark Williams, the Lakers trade. So the Lakers rescind that trade. We talked about it on this broadcast a while ago, what that could do for both sides. Now, everybody's opinion, like this is where I'm just, why is everybody's opinion just the same? Why is it the same? In terms of the NBA, at least, elsewhere, certainly not. But in terms of the NBA, why are so many opinions the same? It feels like narratives form and people just kind of latch onto them and ride them to the bitter end, off into the sunset. Everybody is on the train of, I would consider the Lakers a contender if they didn't rescind the Mark Williams trade. First of all, I see the Lakers as a contender with or without Mark Williams. I don't know why Mark Williams just makes or breaks the Lakers season when you have LeBron and Luka on your roster. I understand the Lakers have a gaping hole at center, but Mark Williams, first of all, is he even going to play for the Lakers in the playoffs? Mark Williams struggles to stay healthy. He's in and out of the lineup all the time. Now, when he's in, he's a double-double machine. And that's what people look at and go, oh, the Lakers had this guy who can consistently grab 12 to 15 rebounds a night, catch lobs from Luka. they would be a better team than what they had now. Sure. Mark Williams for Dalton Connect right now. Dalton Connect is barely getting a run with the Lakers. Meanwhile, Mark Williams would probably be starting at center. Sure, you could say the Lakers are a better team with Mark Williams. But through that, I don't look at it and go, "Oh, well, I just don't consider the Lakers a threat or a contender without Mark Williams." I don't understand why that is just the consensus narrative. I don't consider it's like, "Oh, the Lakers, they can't be contenders. They don't have Mark Williams." It's like, Mark Williams plays for the Hornets. Like, he's out every other game. Like, that's where I understand they'd be a better team with him, but I don't know the level of where Mark Williams as a singular center on the Lakers. Like, if the Mark Williams played for the Lakers, it's still very possible the Lakers don't have enough big man depth to go forward in the playoffs. So to me, if the Lakers don't have enough big man depth, and that's somebody's opinion, it's like they wouldn't have enough big man depth with Mark Williams. There'd be Jackson Hayes and Alex Lynn sitting behind Mark Williams, who, what, you're going to play him 48 minutes a game? He can't. He can't. He's a Robert Williams type of guy. Robert Williams, you couldn't play him at all. I mean, it's a miracle when he was playing 30, 35 minutes a night. That's where Mark Williams is. You can't play him those minutes. You'd still lack depth. If that's somebody's main point, with or without Mark Williams, it wouldn't matter. But for me, I'm going, you know what? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, with or without Mark Williams, it wouldn't matter. I believe the Lakers are contenders right now. That's where I see this ball club. And that's just what I want to say about Mark Williams, because we saw the Celtics play Mark Williams tonight, and I mean, you can tell he's a good center, good rebounding center, sizable center. And yeah, people are talking about defensively, blah. I'm not buying the whole the Lakers, they'd be contenders with Mark Williams. Like, if your whole point is they don't have depth, they still wouldn't have depth with Mark Williams. And quite frankly, going back and looking at that trade, and I remember I was on this broadcast talking. I was on a solo show that night too. I was talking about how Mark Williams, I don't like. I actually did not like that trade at the time. I understand the Lakers. Oh, they were missing out on a big man. But here's the thing: to knee jerk a big man onto the roster, if you're the Lakers, I that to me was that move. It's like, oh, we got Dalton Connect in the middle of the draft, just outside of the lottery. Got this gemstone who may not play every minute for us this year and contribute in the best moments this year, but later on down the line will be there. Right? We can develop him. He's good. Dalton Connect. He's going to be a good forward in the NBA. I mean, he's going to be somebody who can be your sixth man, can start in a lineup. Dalton Connect's going to be a good NBA player, I believe, in time. The Lakers grabbed this man in the middle of round one. They had this gemstone. It's like, oh, wow, we really hit on this. And then midway through the season, Luka, that trade is brought about by Nico Harrison, who, I mean, I would move cities right now if I were Nico Harrison. But the Luka trade comes about, and it's clear, oh, you traded away Anthony Davis. The Lakers don't have a big man. So what do the Lakers naturally do? They have to go out onto the trade market and find one. But did they really have to? Did they really have to go into the trade market and go, oh, you know what? We're throwing a first-round pick. We're throwing Dalton Connect, which that's basically 2 first-round picks right there. Dalton Connect was a first-round pick last year. 2 first-round picks for Mark Williams, who's perpetually injured and has always played for a bad team. He's never played for a winning squad. We don't know what he can do for a win. I mean, a lot. I understand centers, not so much, but specifically guards, they're the guys who empty stats on bad teams, right? Bad teams, empty stats type of guy. Centers, it's a little harder to do that because centers, you can grab rebounds on a bad team against another team. You can get put back opportunities on a bad team. And even more so, actually, if you think about it. But that's where I'm looking at this going, Mark Williams, he's playing on this bad team. He's perpetually injured. What, like, was just throwing away 2 first-round picks to Mark Williams a good move? It's like, was that Was that calculated? Was that planned? It's like the Lakers wouldn't have done that unless they traded for Luka, didn't have a center, and panicked when, oh my goodness, oh, we are 4 days away from the trade deadline. We just traded for Luka. Go get a center somewhere. Go get a center. Just find a center. Throw to Dalton Connect, throw him in the deal. First round pick of the future, throw him in the deal. 2027, throw him in the deal. Go ahead. We need a center. That's what it felt like. It's like, I feel like the Lakers are still competitive this season and contenders without the big man depth, without Mark Williams. And they're going to have the opportunity to find a big man this summer and into the future, using and utilizing the assets they used for Mark Williams. They might be able to get a better center in the future than Mark Williams, or at least, you know what, I don't even want to say better, but a more reliably available center. And that matters. That is almost, that's everything. If you're not available, we talked about it a lot on this program. If you're not available, you're ruining the best ability you can have. The best ability is availability, folks. You have to be available to even do anything on court, to do anything in sports. You have to be available playing first. Mark Williams, he kind of strikes me as a Robert Williams type of player where, oh, misses 4 games. Oh, he plays. Oh, he missed the next game. Oh, he missed 2 games. Oh, and he plays 3 straight games. Oh, that's nice. And then he misses another game. That's the kind of game log Mark Williams has. So I wasn't exactly fond in that moment of that trade. And I just to this day can't understand why everybody, oh, if the Lakers had Mark Williams. It's like, it wouldn't matter. It really wouldn't matter. But we don't even know if he would, if they would have him at this moment in time. Just saying. Just saying. Now, see, I have 2 things pulled up in here that I'm like, you know what? Is it even worth showing? Because we already had the playoffs are already set. So we talked about this a little earlier, but we're gonna go more on it. I will say right now. But the playoffs, they're already set. They're set in stone right now. These 2 tweets were from earlier, so it's like I'm not even gonna show them because it's like they're irrelevant now. Now that the playoffs are set, these are kind of irrelevant. So with that in mind, I'm going to go back to actually what I showed earlier, which is this, the postseason picture. Now, the reason I'm showing this is to bring up the other aspect of this. Now, we started with the Knicks and the Pistons on the Celtics side of the bracket, and the whole argument was, I think you would rather see either the Knicks or the Pistons over the Pacers and the Bucks right now. And that's where all these teams are. Kind of dug into the Pistons a little bit there and the Knicks, but the belief right now, little bit of a good draw for the Celtics considering all that happened this season. And you're the 2 seed, you have 60 wins if you're the C's, and you're going to be facing in the second round either the Knicks or the Pistons. That's pretty darn good if you're the C's, and you don't have to face the Pacers or Bucks until round 3 or the Cavs, any of those teams, which the Celtics, we've seen playoff series against all 3 of those teams in the past. But what I want to hone in on here is that 7-8 matchup between the Magic and the Hawks, because to even get to the second round or the conference finals, the semifinals or the conference finals, the Boston Celtics have to win in round 1 against either the Magic or the Hawks. Now, the Magic will be hosting the Hawks in Orlando, and we don't have a specific date for that game yet, although speculation is it will be on Tuesday, April 15th. So at the end of the night, we will know the Celtics' first round opponent, and that will either be the Magic or the Hawks, and whoever wins that game down in Orlando. But I just want to talk about these 2 teams for a second. Now, we talked about the other night. We talked about who the Celtics should want to play, and we all kind of had different answers. And we were talking, the Bulls, the Heat, they're 9-10. The Celtics, they're not going to play them anymore. But the Hawks and the Magic, they came up as well. And in that play, it was kind of determined. It's like, okay, the Hawks and the Bulls would be more of your offensive-oriented, high-paced teams if you're the Celtics facing either one of those clubs in round 1. And the Magic and Heat, they're going to be a little bit more physical, a little more defensive-oriented, and that's how it's slotted. Well, now we will whittle it down to probably the best offensive team with it. I don't know. You could say the Bulls are better offensively than the Hawks right now, but you have the Hawks and the Magic. Hawks more offensively oriented, Magic more defensive oriented of a team. But just going through it, first off, uh, I'm just going to come out and say this. I think the Hawks at the 8th seed. I said the other night the Orlando Magic, they'd be the most favorable draw for the Boston Celtics, just the way their season has been going downhill. But I did some further research here, and I think the Atlanta Hawks would actually be the team the Celtics want to face out of at least Atlanta and Orlando, in which will be the two the Celtics. They'll face one of those two teams. But in the last 30 games, all right, the conclusion of the Hawks. The Celtics want to play the Hawks, of course. That conclusion comes from all of this. So in the last 30 games, the Hawks are 16 and 14. Great. Okay, it's 500 ball, 2 games over 500. Orlando 17 and 13. So not much better, but better record there. Last 20 games for the Hawks, 11 and 9. For Orlando, 12 and 8. Okay. So Orlando doing better in both of those categories. Not by much, but enough to note. But the last 10, this is where you really want to look at within the sample size. You want to look at the long sample size of teams, but the short term sample size is important because this is how teams will be playing going into the playoffs. Last 10 for the Atlanta Hawks, 4 and 6. So an under 500 record in the last 10 games. And this is in mind, the Atlanta Hawks are still playing for a play-in spot. They're still trying to jockey for position, get that 7 seed for that home game, or not fall all the way down to 10, right? Or that 9-10 matchup in which no team wants to be in. But 4 and 6 in the last 10 for Atlanta. Meanwhile, Orlando, including a win over the Celtics, they notched an 8-2 record. 8-2 Orlando. Last 10 game sample size, a little small, I will say, but you do see Orlando, maybe they're turning it around just a little bit at this point in the year from where they were in January, February, March. Ton of injuries have ravaged what the Orlando Magic should have been able to do this season. They should have been right up in the standings. I believe I had them 3 or 4 at the beginning of the year. But now, of course, they're battling 7 or 8. If there were no play, and it would be Celtics Magic round 1. Now the Magic have to win a game against the Hawks to play the Celtics. But you can make an argument: are the Magic, they're starting to mesh a little bit better right now than they have? And is this what we should have been seeing more in December and January? That's when the team should have been ramping up. Instead, they were dealing with injuries. Now Jalen Suggs out of the lineup, but you still have Boncaro, you still have Franz Wagner, KCP is still out there. Some very big pieces still playing for the Orlando Magic, but I will say they are missing Jalen Suggs, huge part of their team. So are the Magic, are they getting on a little bit of a roll right now, at least in the last 10? But I'll say more of this. I'll say more on this, I should say. Orlando and Atlanta, two very different style of clubs. Okay, so Atlanta, they're third in pace. We know the Hawks, they really like to run and gun. They really like to put up volume, put up shots. Trae Young, not the best defender in the world. And the Hawks like to just play with as many possessions as humanly possible. Meanwhile, the Orlando Magic are 29th in pace, and the only team below the Orlando Magic is the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are 30th in pace. The Orlando Magic are 29th. Meanwhile, the Atlanta Hawks third in pace. So all the way up the NBA list, the Hawks are third. The Magic and the Celtics, they're 29th and 30th in pace. So in a series between the Magic and Celtics, there'd be similar, I would say, similar comfortabilities within the pace of that series where the Celtics, they're playing at their pace, but the Celtics pace is also the Magic's pace. So you could see some of that within that series. You could see the Celtics, obviously they're able to play multiple ways, but Orlando, they've been more, we saw the other night, 96-76 in Orlando. Now the Celtics didn't play their top 6 players in that game, but we know Orlando, they like to win rock fights. They do. The Orlando Magic, they're they're one of the worst shooting teams in the league. They like to win rock fights. They like to keep the possessions low, and they like to defensively grind you down and offensively just make enough shots in order to get themselves over the hump for a win. And in these scenarios, in a scenario against the Magic, the Celtics would have to push the pace of the game, push the pace, more possessions, more points, more opportunities to shoot. We know Orlando, they're not going to be anywhere near the shooting clip in which Boston will be in that series, whether it's by attempts or by percentage as well. The Celtics will be able to outshoot the Magic in that series because although the Celtics are 30th in pace, we know the Celtics have the ability to push the pace, and that's what they'll have to do against the Magic in order to win that series. Meanwhile, against the Hawks, you're gonna have to slow the pace down. You're gonna have to bring it back down for the Celtics. If you don't, I'm not gonna say the Celtics are trying to win a rock fight or anything, but you don't want a series where you're just playing up tempo with the Atlanta Hawks. But I will say, even if you did, even if you did play an up tempo series against the Hawks turn the ball over more than the Orlando Magic. They rebound worse than the Orlando Magic. They actually take less 3-point attempts per game than the Magic. Actually, that's per 100 possessions on average. And Atlanta, they're a better shooting team than the Magic. We've already kind of discussed that with the Magic, how they specifically from three. The Magic have been awful this year, but just from the field in general, the Magic are 27th in field goal percentage. But in a series, like you kind of look at this list and go, Atlanta, they rebound as a lesser team than the Magic. They turn the ball over more. They play at a faster pace. And the Celtics, if they wanted to play at their pace, they'd be comfortable doing so because that would be devil's advocate to what the Atlanta Hawks want to do. So in a series against Atlanta, there's a lot more going for the Celtics. If you kind of picking up where I'm getting at here, the pace, the Celtics can play at their pace and feel comfortable in that series against Atlanta because they're marginalizing what the Hawks want to do, which is play with more pace. The Hawks turn the ball over more in general, period. The Hawks don't rebound as well as the Magic, and that's kind of been a concern with the Celtics lately. The rebounding hasn't been great. But even 3-point attempts, the Hawks, 20th per 100 possessions, Orlando 18th. And in that, you kind of see they're basically the same shooting teams, Orlando and Atlanta. Atlanta takes a little less, Orlando takes a little more, and Orlando is the worst shooting team from Atlanta. So you kind of have the same thing going on between the Hawks and the Magic there, but either team, I mean, they're down in nearly the 20s, 18th and 20th per 100 possessions. Celtics are first. But you just look at Atlanta through and through. You could go to their records, you go to how they play the game, their rebounding, their turnovers. I think that's the opponent. Well, I should say, in between the Orlando Magic and Atlanta Hawks, the Atlanta Hawks are certainly the team the Celtics want to see in round one. Certainly between those two teams. Now, between all four, with the Heat and the Bulls involved, now the Heat and the Bulls, the Celtics can't even see, but we were having that conversation the other night. Sure, you might want to face a 9 or 10 seed over a 7 or 8. Sure. But specifically talking on what is possible in the NBA playoffs as of tonight, the Eastern Conference finally set as of tonight. Talking on that and speaking on that, I think Atlanta, you have to look at Atlanta and go, you hope Atlanta wins that 7-8 playing game in Orlando over the Magic because they would just be a more favorable opponent for the Celtics in round one. The Celtics would be able to play at their pace. They would be able to rebound the ball against Atlanta. They'd be able to force turnovers. And I just believe that the Hawks, they're a little more discombobulated than the Magic. The Magic, they're unhealthy right now. No Jalen Suggs, no Mo Wagner, former Celtic, of course. And they shoot the ball terribly, sure. Then you have this Atlanta team, though. They got rid of Bogdanovich. They got rid of DeAndre Hunter in the middle of the season. And just feels like they've never been a consistent ball club literally this entire decade. After 2021 when they made the conference finals, everybody expected them, top 3 seed, 21-22 Atlanta, here they come. Never happened. The Atlanta Hawks have literally been the poster child for 500 basketball for the last 4 seasons. And that's the way it remains. I know what I'm getting out of Atlanta. It's 500 ball. You're going to see one night, they're going to push the pace, and they might, put up a crazy scoring number on the Celtics. If the Celtics defense really isn't in control of the game. Orlando, they could be a little bit more of a wild card, and I will say the Celtics, they haven't been able to win on Orlando's floor in the last 4 games against the Magic. So there's that stat as well. Orlando, I think, you're facing a more physical series. It's going to be more of a rock fight most of the time. They're comfortable playing at the Celtics pace. Celtics kind of have to go out of their realm in order to beat Orlando, and that's why Atlanta is just going to be more of a favorable matchup than Orlando. I know I said the other night, oh, Orlando missing key pieces and where they've been going in their season, but after the deep dive, I got to say the deep dives are important. Sometimes you look at the numbers, you look at the teams. Atlanta, give us Atlanta, all right? We want Atlanta. All right. Can we chant that on Sunday? Get that going, TD Garden. Get that going. But I think that's man, I guess I went through every slide here. I guess sometimes you have the whole show planned out and you're still like, what other points do I have here? Because sometimes I guess you just run out. Yeah, Atlanta, Orlando, JB, went through him. Just maybe touching on more things from let's like loop back around to tonight's game because this game tonight was close early on until it really wasn't at all. The Celtics won by 36 points. Now the Celtics will be facing the Charlotte Hornets again on Sunday for game 82. I can't, I have to remind myself every year. The playoffs, they're like a whole new season. They're like a whole new season. Right now, it feels like, oh, we're coming to the end of the regular season. Like, we're playing these, middling to nothing games. And it's a game against the Hawks, or not the Hawks. I'm talking about the Hawks so much. The Hornets on Friday, a game against the Hornets on Sunday. It's like, oh, the season's winding down and coming to an end. But it's like it's nowhere near the end, folks. It's nowhere near the end for this team who has aspirations of playing now into June. Ever since 21, 22, 22, they made the finals that year. Celtics did. Ever since that season, the aspiration has been play into June. June is 2 months away, folks. It is April 11th tonight. April 11th. The Celtics might be playing until June 17th, June 18th. Last year they won the title on June 17th. That's 2 more months and a week. And the playoffs, they're just so intense. They really are. And it's just gonna be this part of the year. It's like everybody kind of hibernates, goes away. Season's ending. A little mellow vibe at the end. Sunday, the whole league's playing. But the playoffs are right around the corner, and they're going to be intense. I cannot believe we're already to game 82. It's a little sad because regular season on Postgame, it was fun. We had a great regular season on Postgame. And Sunday, we'll have another opportunity to film yet again with all of us here. Maybe it might just be me, but I anticipate it'll be more guys on Sunday. We have another game in the regular season, great. But it's just, I can't believe we're already to the end of regular season. I know we have a lot more basketball to play in the playoffs. Like I was just saying, I got to remind myself, a lot more basketball to be played, a lot more intense basketball to be played. But right now, at this moment, it's kind of the regular season's going away. It's kind of a little sad. It's like, oh man, we had all these games like in and out every night. Now we get into the best portion of the season in the playoffs, and there's a lot more, but there is this feeling of, oh, the regular season is coming to an end, man. It's a little sad. But the regular season will come to an end, of course, on Sunday when the Boston Celtics take on the Charlotte Hornets yet again, and we'll see who will be playing in that game, if all the starters will start or sit out, or if we'll see the main Celtics. I'm sure it's going to be a main Celtics type of game. Hopefully we can get Griffin on for that one, because I know J.D. Davison, he's definitely going to get a run, especially after that dunk we saw tonight. He's a little mad after the other night. 0-6 in Orlando. He comes into this game and goes, I'm throwing one down. I'm getting at least one bucket. And he'll have more opportunities on Sunday, however, against this Charlotte Hornets team, who the Boston Celtics defeated 130-94 tonight on the Garden floor. The Celtics officially hit that 60 win mark, the 15th Celtics team in franchise history to hit that 60 win mark. And it's the most in NBA history. Well, the Celtics are able to do that tonight against the Charlotte Hornets. And on Sunday, the Celtics will be going for win number 61. But we will have you guys covered for that game, as we have you guys covered for every single Celtics game, post game, no matter what happens. And we're here. We are here. We are here covering you and covering the Boston Celtics. But tonight, the Celtics, they defeat the Charlotte Hornets 130-94 on the Garden floor, as I already mentioned. You got to get that rock music going. Get that rock music going. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, this rock music, it's not that bad. I will say, it's not that bad. The first time I turn it on, it's like, but you hear it over time, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But I'll see y'all Sunday. Another game against the Hornets on the horizon. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo. And as I always say, thank you all for watching. Go Celtics. Let's bring it back, folks. I hit the wrong one. Go Seas.